Welcome to the Chess Free app. Really excited about this win against computer level 12 ELO 2100, the hardest possible app on the game, because I have less pieces. I'm playing as white, and my opening was terrible. So I'll break through what exactly happened here. That is like one of the worst possible openings you can have. They say knights on the rim are grim. You can't do anything with a knight. I have an in-game, and that's basically, overload them, and you'll see how this goes. So they play the standard open, all right. I bring my other knight forward. I don't want to play two knights on the rim. They move the pawn forward right here. I don't know if you see that. Pawn moves forward right here. What that does is it opens up the F8 bishop to take out my knight. I decide to play pawn forward. Their bishop takes out my knight. Okay. So right away, I've got like a terrible pawn structure. And they have a really good pawn structure. So what exactly am I trying to do here? Like, how am I going to beat the computer? Because their AI is 2100. They're really, really good at tactics. And you'll see a lot of their moves are reaction to what I'm doing. So if you're making good moves against them, what's going to happen is they're going to try to interfere with it, break it up, what have you. Okay. They castle. This is my opportunity right here. If I can overload on the right side of the board, I've got a chance. If I can't overload, it's pretty much game over. Game over because my pawn structure is terrible. It's really terrible. So, but you can still win the game if you can overload. So we're going to have to trade position or pieces for position. So what I do right now is I bring the bishop forward to h8. See the bishop going forward right there? I'm going to sacrifice the bishop, and I'm just going to bring everything. And the key thing is if I can get the queen to work with another piece, either the knight, the bishop, or the rooks possibly, I can get a W here. Again, this is tough because they're very smart tactically. What you have to do is you have to narrow down the range of options through a series of checks. If you can get lots of checks and make smart moves with checks, you narrow down their options and you take away because they can just outthink you. There's so many different calculations they can run here. So, okay, they capture. I basically sacrifice a piece there. I play the queen forward. They play this pawn forward to try to protect the pawn. I don't really care about that. That's good. That gives me time to develop a piece. I bring my pawn forward to counter. The reason I bring the pawn forward is I've got a knight here. I'd like to possibly work that in. There's some other stuff we could work in. They play their knight forward right here to e4. Threatening a lot of stuff here. I decide to put my queen in place. Again, hopefully get a bishop or work a knight or some combination where I can get a checkmate here. They play pawn forward to try to underline my position. Okay. I decide to protect. Well, this move does two things. Playing the pawn forward, it opens up a lane for the bishop, because I got a bishop on f1 that's not being used. Would like to develop that piece. And this also protects the pawn on d4. As you can see, our pawn structure is already pretty messed up, so if it gets messed up anymore, we're kind of destroyed here. Okay, so this is a power move they make. Queen check. Oops. Queen check right there. So I decide to just play king e1 to d1. And this is going to open my position up to get destroyed here. But my goal isn't to win pieces. My goal is to win the game. So I can give up pieces as long as I have good position and I can get constant checks, short their moves down. I have a chance. Otherwise, they're going to just totally decimate me here. So king here, check. Or not check, but they're going to bring queen forward. I decide to bring the bishop forward there. I'm putting the bishop in place. So if they do anything with a knight, I've got a checkmate. You can see in the h7 square. So that's why I'm bringing the bishop forward there. They play queen takes my rook, check, which means I'm going to lose my other rook. So I'm in terrible position here. Plus, They've got a knight in place, but they can't exactly use that knight unless they get for checks. They can only use it for checks because I can checkmate them. Queen takes my other rook. So I have lost both my rooks. I've got a terrible pawn position. I open terrible. I'm threatening checkmate, but this is really, really tight. This is a really tight position here. Okay. So I play knight here, forward to basically g5. Again, threatening checkmate in multiple directions. What that means is, I mean, that's good. I've got a stronger position on their king. What I have to do is be smart with what I'm doing with my king. If I can protect my king and get to a spot where I can checkmate them, I'm going to win the game. So this is where it gets a little tricky. You know, I don't need to say this 100 times, but my position is I got a good position. That's about the only thing I got going for right now in terms of forcing the checkmate. But my pawn structure, everything else is terrible. So they play knight to c3 check. Okay, I decide, after thinking over a little while, I go king e2 to d2. Threatening the knight. Knight's going to go here, check. Okay, what they're trying to do is delay the checkmate as much as possible. Maybe even work something in. I play king away here. Knight back to their check. So this could end up being a draw. I don't want it to be a draw. I'd like to get a W here. So I play king to f3 there, which they play queen to d1 check. I move the king there. They're going to play knight to check again right there. Okay, I move the king forward to here. I was debating between moving it to e4 and e5. I decided to go to e4. They play knight back, check. Okay. Now they move it to e5. They're pushing a pawn forward, check. If I can avoid all this onslaught here and get my pieces in where I could make it work, I can get them. But I have to get around this here. So I play king e5 to d6, trying to get out of the spot where they're going after me. Again, they play the knight, check. And the reason they're doing this is because I have like a checkmate right away if they don't check me. Because if they do any other move, I can just go checkmate and game over. So they have to, I'm shortening their moves. They have to do this. That's the thing. If you can shorten the computer's moves and force them into a narrow channel, sometimes you do this with overloads. I mean, that's the way I like to do it. It's the way you can beat them. You got to look at what type of tactics they're using against you. If they're using, stuff to interfere with or deflection or other stuff like that, you're going to have better chance of success here. So I decide to play the bishop, use my bishop and take it here. You see the knight is exposed. I could keep moving the king, but it's not the best. I can't really move it a lot of places, so I decide to capture with the bishop. Okay. They capture my knight right there on g5. So this is where it gets really tricky. I decide to put the strongest possible move I could make here was to put the bishop back to d3. That way I can threaten checkmate in one. I've only got really two pieces. Now the good thing I have is I have a king on d6 that could potentially work with a queen. The question is, can I work with the bishop and the queen to get a checkmate? So they play rook takes pawn f2. And what they're doing basically, by playing that rook takes pawn 2, I don't know if you see that right here, they're taking away the checkmate. Because right now, all I have to do is move king to h7, checkmate, game over. By moving the rook, I can't do that. So my next move is queen takes, king goes back here. I play queen check right here, king goes back. I play queen takes g5, check. King goes back. I play queen here, check. King moves. Okay, I go back to queen g5, check. All right, need to get a mating pattern here. They're going to back up. I play queen to h6, check. King back. Here's where I bring the bishop forward. Right there. To h7, check. Okay, there's a mating pattern here. Got to use it right, though. King goes in the box. I can't really bring my queen where I want to, so what I do is I pull the bishop back for a discovered check. Like that. So pull the bishop back for a discovered check right there. King has to go. Black has no way of blocking. Now, the thing is, we have a lot less pieces, but black has like 3 pieces they're not really using, and they've only got 1 piece, the rook, really. So, I mean, our position is great. Our piece value is terrible, but our position is great. So, we want to win the game if you get to checkmate. So, king back here. Okay, queen to h7, check. King goes here. I play queen to h7, check. King goes back. All right. Now I play check again. King goes back again. This time I actually found the right move, which I missed last time. So I actually missed. Not only did I play bad in the opening, but I didn't play a perfect mating pattern game here. So you see my. But I'm very happy on the win here. I play queen to h7, checkmate, and get the W here. So hopefully I was able to teach you a trick or two. But I mean, the key thing I think when you break down a game is, you know, you can either win on position, or you can get more pieces than your opponent and grind them down. Against the opponent this good, you're not going to be able to outthink them on getting pieces. They'll always win and, you know, win in an end game. So you got to figure out ways to, you know, maybe trade pieces for position and shorten. You got to play attacking chess in short. And, yeah, hopefully I was able to give a tip or two here. Thanks for watching, and good luck.